It's one of those days when there's so much happening around the globe that I don't know for sure what to talk about. However, there's a couple of stories breaking that just cannot be resisted. I'm looking at an article right now. Is China planning a surprise missile attack? And it's referring to a nuclear missile attack on the United States of America. And then another article also states avoiding Armageddon with China. The one comes from World Affairs magazine, the other from Foreign Policy. So we're dealing with two sober, reputable publications, both of them talking about the dangers of what we're facing right now. Is China planning a surprise missile attack? I'm bringing something to the microphone today. To those of you that are watching on the World Wide Web, you're able to see it. I hold in my hand right now a book that I wrote in 2001, The China War and the Third Temple. My staff tells me we have 41 of these books. When they're gone, I guess they would go on back order or whatever. But anyway, I just thought I would do something a little different than I've ever done before. I thought I would just read a couple of pages of the opening of this book. Now, this book is written in fiction, but it's really faction because it's fact couched in fiction. Here's the way it starts. David Friedman's eyes steadily scanned the radar screens in front of him. The multiple monitors surrounding him kept watch against any surprise attack that might be launched upon the west coast of the United States. He picked up his lukewarm coffee to take another sip, then blinked. An alarming blip appeared on the middle screen right in front of him. It looked to be about 1,200 miles from Los Angeles. Was it a malfunction? He quickly checked all critical controls. It wasn't. Sweat broke out on his forehead. He didn't have much time. Whatever was producing the alarming signal was closing fast. In fact, its very speed indicated that it was an inbound missile. Without a second to spare, David lunged for the large red button that would signal imminent attack to all defense facilities throughout the United States and around the world. Almost immediately, defensive missiles shot from their secret silos along the coastal line. With only 10 minutes remaining until the incoming weapon released its payload on the United States, the U.S. Defense Forces had only one shot at intercepting the intruding missile. David watched his radar screen with bated breath as the newly deployed Arrow missiles shot toward the invader. If the incoming missile carried a nuclear payload, David knew what it meant. World War III. The next 2 minutes were critical. Perspiration dripped from David's face and soaked his shirt to the skin, even though the control center temperature was at its usual 72 degrees. Watching the path of the invader and the course of the defense missiles as they converged, he realized that he was holding his breath. Relax, stay calm, breathe, he ordered himself. David knew that if he ever implemented the years of special training on how to function under the heat of intense pressure, he needed to do it now. His eyes tracked every blip on the radar. The defense missiles seemed to have a chance. David prayed for the first time in a long time. Please, God, if you're up there at all, do something right now. At the moment the path of the defending missiles converged with the incoming route of the attacker, a confusing array of signals appeared on the radar screen. Then out of the confusion, the blip moving toward Los Angeles emerged. It kept coming, growing stronger and stronger with every pulse on the screen. God help us, David cried. That's the first 2 pages of the book I wrote in 2001, The China War and the Third Temple. If you'd like to have your copy, I think it's for a gift of $13 plus shipping. So if you'd like to have your copy, give us a call right now. The number to call is 1-800-END-TIME. That's 1-800-363-8463. Why am I bringing it out today? Well, because I'm looking at articles where they are seriously discussing in serious journals here in the United States of America the possibility of an attack from China, just the very scenario that I painted 10 years ago. The first article is China planning a surprise missile attack by Mr. Gordon Chang in World Affairs. It came out on August the 30th of 2011. And then another article, Avoiding Armageddon with China, Foreign Policy Magazine, just yesterday, September the 6th of 2011. Let me give you a little bit of what's going on in these articles. And the reason I bring this to you is because World War III is coming. It's going to happen. There is zero chance it's not going to happen. It's in your Bible in black and white. Revelation 9, verse 13 through 21. Verse 15 summarizes everything. By these were 1/3 part of mankind killed. 1/3 of mankind killed. Present population, that equals 2.3 billion people. 52 million died in World War II, the world's worst ever war by far. This one, multiply that by 40 times. It's coming. The book is called The China War and the Third Temple by Irvin Baxter. It will keep you up all night. I will tell you that. You won't be able to put it down. At least that's what I've been told. My daughter, Kara, the day the first shipment came in back in 2001, she thought she deserved a copy as my daughter, so she took it home. She came back the next morning and she said, "Daddy, I couldn't put it down. I finished it at 5 o'clock this morning." And I looked at her thinking there's something really twisted about a daughter being so fascinated with her father's writings that she would stay up all night. But of course, I was gratified. It was a compliment, and I appreciated it very much. The book's available. I have 42 copies right now, and the first 42 people will get them. The first 42 people to call. The number to call is 1-800-ENDTIME for your gift of $13 or more, plus the shipping costs. We will send that right out to you. So it's called China War and the Third Temple. Now let's take a look at some of the articles that provoked me to bring this book here. I haven't brought that book to this microphone in a long, long time, if ever. So some of you are probably hearing about it for the first time. This article is China planning a surprise missile attack. A retired Chinese general recently revealed that his country might be planning a surprise missile attack on the United States. The public comment of Zhu Guangyu came in response to WikiLeaks revelations that last year Washington had warned its allies beforehand of China's test of a missile interceptor. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, in a classified cable sent last January the 9th, instructed American embassies in Australia, Britain, Canada, and New Zealand to notify those countries of upcoming Chinese launches 2 days later. The cable included details of the launch sites for the interceptor and the target, the models of the missiles, the purpose of the test, and the test date. Now, all this was secret, only recently made public through WikiLeaks. Yesterday, Hong Kong's South China Morning Post carried comments from Zhu, now at the China Arms Control and Disarmament Association, to the effect that American satellites would have detected activity at the launch sites, but that some of the information in the cables, specifically the types of missiles and the day of the test, must have come from a source on the ground. WikiLeaks' release of this cable, revealing one or more American spies in China's strategic missile core, is perhaps the website's most significant compromise of U.S. security to date. The Hong Kong paper noted that Zhu said that if China could no longer keep secret its missile launches, it would not be able to launch a surprise attack on the United States, as though they've discussed it. The article goes on to say, is China really in the process of planning to destroy the American homeland with a preemptive barrage of nuclear-tipped missiles? Zhu's comments, of course, is not proof, but it does reveal that Chinese flag officers are thinking about doing so. Well, that's heavy stuff, I know, but I thought you should see what's been published over the last week or so. And of course, this next article, Avoiding Armageddon with China, talking about what we should do in order to avoid the possibility of a nuclear exchange between China and the United States of America. Will such a nuclear exchange occur in World War III? I would be shocked if it did not occur. There's a lot of pressure building up between us and China because China is reputed to be the up and rising superpower of the 21st century. All political prognosticators say that China will pass the United States in economic power, which always translates to military power, sometime in about 2020 to 2030. That's not very far away. The United States of America doesn't want to lose its military superiority. Consequently, we're doing everything in our power to hem China in and to inhibit her advancement and growth. For example, our move in Libya. It was largely provoked, the news has come out now, by Muammar Gaddafi being upset with the United States because we sided with Sweden, I believe it was, for the arrest of one of Gaddafi's sons. As a result of that incident, he became upset and decided that he would start signing contracts for Libyan oil with China, with Russia, with India, instead of the West. Now, the reason that's important is because Libya has oil that we much desire. They have a level of sweet crude oil that takes very little refinement, and so it makes it very valuable to us. The thought of losing that supply is something that we simply did not want to contemplate. The result has been, and we've all witnessed it over the last few weeks and months, the United States of America, through NATO, went in, fought on the side of the rebels, and now Muammar Gaddafi has been removed from power because we wanted to retain access to this special oil rather than give China a crack at it. That's the kind of competition that's going on. Oil is the lifeblood of the nations of the world, and the war is on for the control of the oil. It's called the Arab Spring.
Maybe you've listened to Politics and Religion for years, and every time you hear us talk about Endtime's free weekly e-newsletter, you say to yourself, today is the day I go to endtime.com and sign up. But the teacher from school calls, Junior's sick, your husband texts you a picture of the mailbox that Susie ran over while learning to back out of the driveway, and as you try to get out of the door, your boss is waiting for that detailed report that was actually due yesterday. All of a sudden, convenience is not on your side, and now the e-newsletter is the last thing on your mind. We now offer an easy-to-use feature that is perfect for those of you that have little time to spare. Just text the word ENDTIME to the number 22828. It's that easy. Text ENDTIME to the number 22828. That's ENDTIME to the number 22828.
For years, I've been interested in Bible prophecy, but never could find the truth, until the day that I stumbled upon a radio show called Politics and Religion. Two of my questions that no one could ever answer were, who will be the Antichrist, and will Islam ever control the world? The day I listened to Politics and Religion, Irvin just happened to be talking on this subject and recommended the DVD, Will Islam Rule the World? This lesson based everything on Scripture, and it gave me answers that I'd been seeking for a long time. Get your copy of Will Islam Rule the World. Call 1-800-ENDTIME.
Tired of the same old boring TV? Tired of the not-so-reality TV? We have the answer. Tune in to the exciting show that keeps you up to date with current events. Hope, meaning, answers. That is the message that Irvin Baxter's End of the Age series represents. You can tune in every Sunday on Daystar at 10:30 p.m., Mondays on the Church Channel at 9 p.m., or tune in to TBN on Wednesday mornings at 7 a.m., all Central Standard Time. Get informed today.
I want to make sure you understood the newsletter that they were talking about during the break. That is absolutely free. It comes to you by way of email weekly. And like Vince was saying, 22828 is all you. Well, let me make sure I've got that right because it's 22828. Yes, that's correct. And just type the word Endtime, 22828, and that will give you access to the newsletter, no charge, absolutely free. If you would prefer to go to our website on the right-hand side, it says free e-newsletter. It's just got a place there for you to put in your email address so we can start sending it to you. You will get it absolutely free of charge. Now, let me tell you, you'll like it because it comes out of my office. I don't do it personally. The people here take my research material and put it together. But it is really good, and you will appreciate it very much, especially being absolutely free. So if you're not a subscriber to our e-newsletter, I certainly would recommend that to you. For those of you that may be joining us late, we're talking today about will China launch a surprise nuclear attack on the United States of America? And this program is being prompted because two articles have appeared. One is China planning a surprise missile attack from World Affairs magazine by Mr. Gordon Chang, and then the other one, Avoiding Armageddon with China, and that is written by Mr. Dan Blumenthal, and he's in the Foreign Policy magazine, both very responsible, respected publications, and yet they're carrying these very provocative articles. Well, when I saw these articles, I remembered I wrote a book 10 years ago called China War and the Third Temple. And it's actually a fiction book, but based on fact. If you'd like to have your copy, it's my understanding we have 42 of them. And so if you'd like to have your copy, get on the phone right now. The number to call is 1-800-END-TIME. The book, I think, is around $13 plus shipping and handling. But the number to call, 1-800-363-8463. Tell them you want China War and the Third Temple. And I know that I think you'll enjoy it because I haven't read it for a long time, but I'm tempted to go home and read it tonight, actually, because I read the first couple of pages and it's got me all excited again. I'm going to go back and find out what I wrote 10 years ago. Okay, now the article is entitled, Is China Planning a Surprise Missile Attack? Now, one paragraph says, is China really in the process of planning to destroy the American homeland with a preemptive barrage of nuclear-tipped missiles? Zhu's comment, of course, is not proof, but it does reveal that Chinese flag officers are thinking about doing so. Now, that is frightening. I want to get to the phones right now, and then I'll give you some more of this article, but let's go to the phones. And calling from Missouri. Hello, Bobby. Welcome.
Hey, good afternoon there, Brother Baxter. How have you been?
I'm doing very good.
Okay, it's along the same lines, but how do you know which war or who's going to start it first? The kings of the north, because he comes against the Antichrist, or the kings of the east, or the kings of the south? In my mind, that would be the kings of the south would be all of Africa, obviously, including Egypt. And then the kings of the north would be Syria, Turkey, Iran, Iraq, and obviously Russia. So, and the kings of the east, to me, is China and mostly the Arabic nations. So, if that's true, who is going to start the war first, any kind of war? And second, do you think that the Antichrist could be Arabic, in other words, Islam?
Well, you put a lot on the table here, Bobby, but first of all, the war we're talking about right now, World War III,
right.
It's also in the Bible referred to as the Sixth Trumpet War,
located, I'm aware of that.
Located in Revelation 9, verse 13 through 21. It tells us where that war starts. It specifically says it will start from the Euphrates River area.
No, I meant when. When?
Well, as far as when, it must start before the Great Tribulation begins. That war definitely occurs before the Great Tribulation. Now, that's a different war than the Battle of Armageddon, which happens at the end of the Great Tribulation. So
Right.
this particular war here that we're talking about that kills 1/3 of mankind will start before the Great Tribulation period. And there's no reason why it could not start today, frankly. There's nothing between us and this war, as far as I know, prophetically.
Well, what about the Arabics? I mean, do you think they could mass up enough army to come against the people, or work with China?
Well, there are right now 1.5 billion Muslims in our world. So they certainly have enough firepower if they all would unify against us to get together. But they also have a natural alliance with China. China did not approve the sanctions against Libya. China has not been willing to side with the U.S. on many other things. China has stood steadfastly with Iran and kept us from passing meaningful sanctions in the UN Security Council against Iran. So China is very much on the other side, and China sees herself as a natural adversary because she's a threat to take over domination of the world over the next 20, 30, 40 years. So it's a natural situation, and many people think that war with China is going to be inevitable.
Okay, could the Antichrist possibly come from Iraq, Iran, Afghanistan, Syria?
I do not believe that the Antichrist can come from those nations, because the Bible tells us the Antichrist will come from an alliance of 10 kings. This is Daniel 7. Right. There are 10 kings that are symbolized by the 10 horns, and one horn comes up among the 10, uproots 3, and becomes the Antichrist. Now the question is, who are the 10 kings? The 10 horns symbolize the same thing as the 10 toes of Daniel chapter 2, the statue. And the last part of the statue represents the Holy Roman Empire, iron mingled with clay. Iron is the Roman Empire, iron mingled with clay is the Holy Roman Empire. The 10 toes symbolize the same thing as the 10 horns, which means they must be a part of the Holy Roman Empire. That means the Antichrist will come out of the Holy Roman Empire. So no, I do not believe the Antichrist can come from the Arabic countries.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay. You're most welcome, Bobby. Thank you for a good call. Good questions there. Now, we're talking today about is there a chance that China is planning a surprise attack? Let me read a little bit more of this article. Unfortunately, Xu's hostile sentiment fits within a worrisome trend. Especially since the beginning of last year, there has been a series of belligerent comments from China's generals, admirals, and colonels, some talking about war with the U.S. in the near future. Last February, for instance, Colonel Ming Xingying said the People's Liberation Army would qualitatively upgrade its capability to force a showdown on U.S. policy toward Taiwan within the decade, when we're strong enough for a hand-to-hand fight with the U.S. Now, most of you probably know that China has said repeatedly that Taiwan must be reunited with the mainland, if not diplomatically, then by force. Well, now this general is stating that this will happen within the next 10 years, as soon as China feels that she's strong enough. I read something alarming. China now has 60 submarines. We apparently have a little bit. Let me see if I can find those notes, because I made specific note of that. I want to make sure that I let you know, because I found it quite alarming. Here we go. The United States military is being throttled down, budgets cut because of the present economic situation. The Navy's stated requirement is 48 submarines. Yet, if the Navy's 30-year shipbuilding plan does not receive additional funding, the Navy will have substantially fewer than the 48 subs. And then the article goes on to say, there's also no provision in the plan for surging production to meet China's own growing sub-acquisitions. China has fielded an average of more than 2 subs annually for 16 years. It now has more than 60 attack subs in its fleet. I was stunned to think that we have 48, or not quite 48. We're trying to have 48, and they have 60. Now, this just shows us now, to be totally transparent, though, China is behind us in many other areas. For example, in airplanes, in other naval ships and all that, China is behind us. But China is building fast. And when you have the money, you can build real fast, because the military people are out there. The military industrial complex is out there wanting to push it. Now, what are we saying here, ladies and gentlemen? Without being an alarmist, what I'm saying to you is, maybe I am being an alarmist. Maybe I need to be an alarmist. Maybe it's Paul Revere time. But I'm looking at two articles that have appeared within the last week. One appeared on August the 30th. Is China planning a surprise missile attack? That's in World Affairs magazine. And then this one appeared yesterday, avoiding Armageddon with China, in Foreign Policy magazine. This is what the movers and shakers, the thinkers of our world, the military planners, they're thinking today, avoiding Armageddon with China. Let me just read a couple of excerpts from this particular article. It is good news that James Traub, a highly regarded journalist and writer, may be startled out of his belief that China is a status quo power, based in part on a paper we wrote. We hope that more writers of Traub's caliber will be similarly startled by China's growing menace. The truth is that, like every rising power in history, including the United States, China wants to change rules, territorial delineations, and laws written while it was weak. Now, the article goes on to say, I'm jumping down, but maybe that patience has always been overstated. Throughout its history, China has lumbered into disaster after disaster, costing untold sums in lives and treasure. The Great Leap Forward, the Cultural Revolution, Beijing's war with Vietnam. Certainly, as China reemerged as a power, it had its chance to bide its time and hide its capabilities, as Deng Xiaoping instructed. But instead, it decided to build a highly destabilizing military. But there's more. I'll tell you the rest later. We're talking today about, is China a threat? Will China actually trigger a nuclear Armageddon? These are articles from World Affairs. They're articles from Foreign Policy magazine. And we'll be back in a moment.
17 million, Shanghai, China. 13 million, Moscow, Russia. 20 million, Mexico City, Mexico. This is the population of just a few cities that currently don't have understanding the end time. But imagine the billions of people in places like Paris, France, Rome, Italy, Cairo, Egypt, and many other cities throughout the world that currently need the end time message translated in their language. Irvin Baxter has a burden to get the End of the Age series, Understanding the End Time, translated into the 8 major languages of the world. The translation project will take a total of just $120,000. If you'd like to participate in reaching the world with this message, call 1-800-363-8463. Your gift of $1, $10, or $50 will make a difference. Call 1-800-ENDTIME or visit endtime.com to help reach the world with the end time message.
Do you ever hear the news and know that something's just not right? Do you ever read about politics and think, what is going on? Maybe you wonder what all this means for you and me. Well, we finally have some answers. Irvin Baxter has a 12-lesson series called Understanding the End Time that has aired throughout the world on TBN and Daystar. This series contains lessons like United States discovered in the Bible, Islam and Bible prophecy, and the 7 trumpets. The Bible says in Daniel 11:33, "They that understand among the people shall instruct many." Would you like to be one who understands end time events so you can instruct your friends and loved ones? If your answer is yes, then don't miss out on Understanding the End Time with Irvin Baxter. Call 1-800-END-TIME. That's 1-800-363-8463 and request your copy of Understanding the End Time.
Let me give you an up-to-date report on our translation project. Another milestone. Counting our match grant as soon as it gets here, we are at $93,086.69. What does that mean? That means we have $26,900 to go. $26,900 to go, and we will reach our goal. And we're counting on the match grant, and the person who pledged it is a reliable person, even though we don't have that in hand right now, but it is coming. We're excited about it. So we're just about to our goal. We've been pushing for quite a long time on this translation project. So just about $26,000, $27,000 to go. We will be able to translate Understanding the End Time into the languages that will enable 90% of the world's population to hear these vital truths. And let me tell you, in the year or two that's just ahead, the world needs this so bad. I'm so excited. I even wonder if God's not helping us to get it done right now before this war that we're discussing today breaks out. There is a war coming. It will start from the Euphrates River area. I've always believed that China would end up getting sucked into it, and there will probably be a nuclear confrontation between China and the United States of America. Hope I'm wrong. Believe me, I hope I am wrong, because this is going to be devastation like the world has never known. Nothing like it. So if you would like to help us with the translation project, please do it now, right now. Pick up the phone and call, whether it's $100, $50. If you could give $1,000, that'd be a huge boost. $10,000 would be wonderful if God's blessed you so you could do something like that. I promise you, you could not put your money anywhere to make a better impact upon our world than this translation project right now, because Almighty God told Daniel, these prophecies I've given you, the words are closed up and sealed till the time of the end. So they've been laying there for 2,500 years. Now then, they're unsealed. And we're teaching over this program and in the Understanding the End Time course 14 hours, explaining the prophecies of Daniel, the prophecies that are all going to come to pass between now and the second coming of Jesus Christ over the next several years. We're explaining them. Every person on the planet needs to know these prophecies now, and that's the reason we've launched this project. So for all of you that have helped us so far, thank you. Thank you so much. If you can help us more, do it, please. If you've not been able to yet, but you want to, pick up the phone right now. Call 1-800-IND-TIME and let our operators know. Right now, we are sitting at $93,086.69. So that means we've got about $27,000 to go, and we are going to be able to have this in the languages of 90% of the world's population. These prophecies that Almighty God said, I will put these prophecies in the end time generation. And I don't know of any place else in the whole world that these are being made available. So I'm really excited. So thank you for helping us to make this happen. We're talking today about the articles, Is China Planning a Surprise Missile Attack, that comes from World Affairs magazine, just out 1 week ago. And then Avoiding Armageddon with China, this article just yesterday by Mr. Dan Blumenthal and Mark Stokes. That's from the Foreign Policy magazine, both very well-respected publications, serious publications, talking about avoiding Armageddon with China. That's what they're talking about. Now, if you're just tuning in, let me remind you, I wrote a book in 2001 called China War and the Third Temple. It is a prophecy faction book. That means it's written in fiction, but containing fact. It will outline for you my particular concept of how things are going to unfold between now and the second coming of Jesus Christ to the earth at the Battle of Armageddon. It's fast-paced, it's written like a novel, and yet the truth is embedded in it. I have 42 copies. I was told by my staff they are for a gift of $13 plus shipping and handling. They're available right now. If you'd like to call us, the number to call is 1-800-END-TIME, 1-800-363-8463. And maybe you'd like to have the book as well as make a donation to the translation project. If you would, that would be so welcome. And I thank you. I'll tell you, I am motivated out of my mind today when I see what's coming down. And I've got several programs we could do here today. I decided that we should talk about these articles concerning China because of the seriousness of it. Let me read you another thing or two. Meanwhile, according to its own estimates, the U.S. Air Force will have a tactical aircraft shortfall of an astounding 800 planes in the next few years. The Navy and Marine Corps are projecting a 200 fighter shortfall in the same time period. Finally, the article says the balancing and hedging strategy should involve options to avoid what Traub rightfully describes as Armageddon. We call for a myriad of conventional options short of striking the nuclear-armed People's Republic of China in the hope that such a strategy enhances deterrence in the first place and avoids Armageddon should deterrence fail. The strategy aims to slow escalation rather than quicken it. The article goes on to say, the idea of a self-fulfilling prophecy of turning China into an enemy by treating it as one is like a unicorn. It is a make-believe creature that still has its believers. The United States has done more than any other country to turn China into a friend by welcoming it into the international community. Alas, China has not fulfilled the U.S. prophecy of friendship. Instead, China has built what all credible observers call a destabilizing military that has changed the status quo by holding a gun to Taiwan's head, even as Taiwan makes bold attempts at peace. China had about 50 missiles 6 years ago across the Straits of Taiwan aimed at Taiwan. China today has 1,000 missiles in 6 years, from 50 to 1,000 missiles aimed at Taiwan. And that's what the writer here is talking about. He goes on to say, Traub asks whether our allies and partners will be willing to participate in an anti-Chinese coalition as he describes it. As the paper says, all allies, partners, and potential partners are already modernizing their militaries in response to China. And they will continue to do so regardless of whether the U.S. pursues what Traub would see as an anti-China strategy. Even laid-back Australia has plans to double its submarine fleet. It is not doing so to defend against Fiji. He's saying this is because of China. Finally, the paper argues that it is time for the United States to offer more serious assistance so that matters do not get out of hand. A strong U.S. presence and commitment to the region's security can help avoid a regional nuclear arms race. For example, the United States can be a force multiplier by providing the intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance that only Washington possesses, and by training and equipping our allies and friends. This strategy is one way of beginning to pull Asia back in balance as China changes the status quo. Not doing so, we fear, would lead to Armageddon. Sobering article. The two articles, once again, and by the way, they'll be on our website shortly if they're not there already. Is China planning a surprise missile attack? You do know that these news articles that I talk from are posted after the broadcast on our news site. Go to endtime.com and then click on the news, and you'll see all of the links to the articles. You can read these in detail for yourself, and that's a service that we provide on a daily basis here at Endtime Ministries. Okay, now, by the way, we're taking your calls on the program today. The number to call is 877-END-TIME to be on with us, to order my book, China War in the Third Temple, or to make a donation to the Translation Project. The number is 1-800-END-TIME. So 877-END-TIME to be on the program with me, 800-END-TIME to contact our operators. There is another article that I have to bring up because it's of such critical importance. U.S. in new bid to broker Mideast peace talks. A senior U.S. diplomatic team is meeting with Israeli and Palestinian officials in what is widely seen as a last-ditch effort to broker direct peace talks and avoid a confrontation over Palestinian statehood at the United Nations later this month. This is the first I've seen this. This article comes from the Voice of America website yesterday, written by Mr. David Golist from the State Department, and he is disclosing that senior U.S. diplomats are meeting, even as I speak, with Palestinian officials and with Israeli officials. So I've always suspected they were meeting secretly, working, trying to head off the head-on collision that it appears we're headed for at the United Nations. Well, this article confirms that it is, in fact, true. U.S. officials said Tuesday that a statehood move over Israel's objections would set back peace efforts. Officials say the dispatch of the U.S. team was preceded by a telephone appeal from Secretary of State Hillary Clinton to Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas to have an open mind about the American diplomatic initiative. The Obama administration is trying to broker an early agreement by the parties to resume direct peace talks and avoid an angry statehood clash at the United Nations later this month. The United States would veto any request in the UN Security Council to make a Palestinian state a new member country of the world body. What's all this really mean? Where are we headed? Sometimes if you know where you're headed, you can tell what all this means. We are headed toward a UN invasion of Israel. Could it be that the Palestinians will, in fact, take this before the UN Security Council either this year or next year, or before the General Assembly, and the General Assembly would vote, and eventually the UN Security Council, that's where the teeth dwell, the UN Security Council would approve sanctions against Israel because Israel will not withdraw to pre-1967 borders. Then ultimately, just like has happened against Muammar Gaddafi and Libya over the last couple of months, the UN would approve military action against Israel. If that in fact would happen, that would fulfill the prophecy of Zechariah chapter 14, I will gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle. What we're talking about here today and this story and the developments this month may be setting the table for exactly what Zechariah prophesied in Zechariah chapter number 14. Wow, interesting times. Interesting times.
Technology, technology, technology. I know what you're thinking. It isn't for me. Some I've heard say it's only for geeks. Well, not anymore. Digital downloading has become quite simple, so that for all of us not so up to date with technology, can do it with a breeze. Whether you're snowboarding in Alaska or climbing Mount Everest, or just simply sitting with some friends who think they know all the answers to Bible prophecy, you can now download tons of product from all your technical gadgets. Don't even ask me to name them. Go to endtime.com day or night, and in a matter of minutes, guess who looks like a genius? Your friends will be speechless. Go to www.endtime.com. That's ENDTIME.com. Click on shop and you're in business. Don't delay, download today, and become a part of the Endtime Geek Club.
Death, destruction, poverty, war, disease. These are only some of the things that are ahead in the end time. Want to know more? Join us in reaching out and informing the world that over 2 billion people will die. We as a nation can't hide from this. We have to tell everyone we know about the prophesied war that will start from the river Euphrates. Call now to get your copy of World War III and spread the message that the end time is now. Call 1-800-END-TIME.
Can't get enough of politics and religion? Well, neither can we. We have some great news for all of you Bible prophecy gurus. Think no, not pre-trib, different subject, pre-show. Irvin Baxter will be teaching the End of the Age series. Here's what you do. Just log on to endtime.com/radio Monday through Friday at 2:30 p.m. Central Time and click on the live webcast button. Cha-ching! More Bible prophecy. How confusing having a favorite show. We feel your pain. Call 1-800-ENDTIME for more information.
So the Palestinians and the Israelis and the United States, they are at the peace table today. The U.S. is asking the Palestinians not to go to the United Nations. As a matter of fact, here's the article just today from the Jerusalem Post. U.S. officially asked Palestinian Authority to abandon UN recognition plan. David Hale, Dennis Ross meet with Mahmoud Abbas in Ramallah. Palestinians might not petition Security Council, but only the General Assembly in order to avoid a U.S. veto. The U.S. on Wednesday, that's today of course, officially asked the Palestinian Authority to abandon its plan to ask the UN later this month to recognize a Palestinian state along pre-1967 borders. The request was relayed to Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas by U.S. envoy David Hale during a meeting in Ramallah, Palestinian officials said. The meeting was attended by U.S. envoy Dennis Ross and U.S. Consul General in Jerusalem, Daniel Rubenstein. The article goes on to say, one official told the Jerusalem Post that he did not rule out the possibility that the Palestinians would go only to the UN General Assembly and not to the Security Council, where the U.S. has threatened to use the veto to foil the statehood initiative. We have been advised by some of our European and Arab friends not to go to the Security Council because we don't have a majority in favor of the plan and because of the U.S. threat to use the veto, the official said. We are now studying submitting a request to the General Assembly to accept the State of Palestine as a full member. This is also an important step because it would give us access to numerous international bodies. I don't fully understand what all the implications of that would be, since the UN General Assembly does not have the power to grant full membership. They may vote for full membership, but it would not be effective because only the UN Security Council has that power. It would have tremendous public relations value for them, but it would not have any power to enact anything. So a lot going on today. I'm not even mentioning some other huge stories that are breaking. Former German leader calls for a United States of Europe. He is saying the time has come for Europeans to totally unify. And of course, the Bible prophesies the emergence of the Holy Roman Empire, which already has happened on November 3rd of 2009. I mean, I'm not talking about little prophecies here we're dealing with. We're talking about some of the biggest prophecies in the entire Bible for the end time. We're talking about a war that kills 1/3 of mankind. We're talking about a peace agreement that would launch the final 7 years to Armageddon. And then we're talking about the Holy Roman Empire, out of which will come the Antichrist and the false prophet. So as you can see, these stories today are absolutely staggering in their implications. And if you're out there and you think all things are just rocking along the same as they always have, it's simply not true. The Bible says in the last days that scoffers would come, saying, where is the promise of his coming? All things remain the same as they have been since our fathers fell asleep. Well, all things are not the same. For example, the Bible prophesies a time when every person will have to have a mark or a number in order to buy or sell. Totally impossible 50 years ago. Totally impossible 20 years ago. Totally impossible 10 years ago. Absolutely possible today. I mean, if they just declared no money, everything's electronic, most of us are using electronic transactions anyway. From now on, you operate with your number, you operate with your credit card. Done deal. No cash, no money, all gone. It would be so easy. We're ready for it right now. Your Bible 2,000 years ago prophesied a time coming when every person would have a mark or a number that they would use to buy or sell. And without that mark or number, you would be frozen out of the economic system of the world. Well, what's the problem? Well, the kicker is if you take that mark or that number, you will be eternally damned according to the Bible. Revelation chapter number 13 says, whosoever worships the beast, and they're going to make pledging allegiance to the Antichrist and his one world government as the condition for you to get your mark or your number. You see what's happening now? They're going to force one world governmental system and allegiance to that one world governmental system on everybody. And if you don't fall in line, then you won't get your number. You won't be able to buy or sell. They're going to put the individual under economic sanctions. So are all things the same as they were? I don't think so. We're living in an electronic society, the first time since the prophecy was given, until the invention of the computer and the advent of the internet, which of course, we've only had the internet, 10 years? Until that, this was totally impossible. The technology has now arrived. In Japan right now, a lot of people are paying all their bills with their phone. I mean, you can walk up to a vending machine in Japan, just point your phone at it. Whatever you choose to get, deducts it from your account, you're on your way. You don't need any money. I actually had a lady friend. She is a missionary in our church. She actually went overseas, and all she had was $15. She took nothing but credit cards. All she had was $15, and yet she traveled around the world. It's an amazing world where we live, and the Bible prophesies all these things. So if you're out there and you think the prophecies are not coming to pass, I recommend to you, you get our 14 DVD series called Understand the End Time. In my opinion, if you've got to sell your coat, you should get this. Whatever else you have to do, if you got to fast for a week, you should get this course. Every person should go through Understand the End Time. Now, you can either get it on DVD, or you can get it on CD, or you can digitally download it immediately right now over the internet. However you like to get your information, if you want to have the physical DVDs, which of course is a very nice thing to have, then call us. The number to call is 1-800-ENDTIME, or you can go to endtime.com, ENDTIME.com, and there you can order the Understanding the End Time series. Everybody, ladies and gentlemen, please listen to me. I cannot tell you anything more important than this. To go into the next year or two without the knowledge contained in these DVDs, in this course, Understand the End Time, is like walking through a minefield blindfolded. It's just too dangerous. You should not do it. So consequently, we have worked here very hard. This has been about a year in production. We've worked, we've poured ourselves into this thing. Now it's yours. It's available to you. So if you'd like to have it, it's called Understanding the End Time. And do whatever you can to get a hold of it. And don't listen to it once. Listen to it over and over and over until you really get it. Because not only do you need to listen to it, but you need to be able to talk the talk, talk to your friends, talk to your fellow workers, talk to your church, talk to your pastor, talk to your Sunday school teacher. This material is great for home Bible study groups. Just have everybody gather in, pop in the DVD, push the button, bingo. An hour later, you're going to have the liveliest discussion you've had in a long, long, long time. One more time, I want to make sure you know this, because I've not mentioned this I don't think we've mentioned this in several years on this program. But it's my book, China War and the Third Temple. I don't know whether all of them have sold out during this program or not, but anyway, we got 42 copies available as of the beginning of this program. The number to call is 1-800-END-TIME. Just ask for China War and the Third Temple. The book is $13 plus shipping and handling, and I promise you, I think you're going to really enjoy it. So it'll be a blessing to you. The reason I'm offering it today is because major serious publications are talking today about the possibility of war between the U.S. and China. Well, that's the way this book starts out, with a surprise Chinese attack on the United States of America. Matter of fact, let me see if I can go back up here to the article, because it is entitled, "Is China planning a surprise missile attack?" And one of China's generals actually held forth the possibility. Well, that's the way this book starts, with a surprise nuclear attack on the United States of America. It starts fast. It's a fast read. You'll fly through it. I hope you can't put it down. Nevertheless, it'll give you information that you need. It's available to you. So I've mentioned three things here today. Number one, China war in the Third Temple. Number two, my 14-hour DVD series, 14 DVDs, called Understanding the End Time. And number three, don't forget our translation project. We're $27,000 away from completion. The goal is $120,000. We will put Understanding the End Time in the language of 90% of the world's population. And I am so excited that you have made this possible. I am also going to compliment our staff here at Endtime Ministries that they have made this possible. We appreciate their untiring work, untiring efforts. It's just been absolutely fabulous. So that's what we're talking about today. So many things breaking one more time. Today there are also peace talks being held between the United States, Palestinians, and Israel, trying to head off the head-on collision that seems imminent now in about 15 days at the United Nations. It's going to be really interesting in the next few days as we move toward this pledge by the Palestinians. We're going to ask the world government to acknowledge our statehood.
Politics and Religion is a production of Endtime Ministries. We are a daily 1-hour broadcast dedicated to bringing you the prophetic fulfillments happening every single day. If you would like to listen to archive programs, subscribe to Endtime Magazine, find a prophecy conference, order Endtime products, or subscribe to our free weekly e-newsletter called 1-800-END-TIME. Or go to endtime.com and take advantage of everything that the website has to offer. To be a part of Endtime Ministries, partner with us and help this message go to the entire world. Endtime Ministries is a partner-supported ministry. We'd like to take a moment to thank all of our loyal partners and listeners for helping make Politics and Religion and Endtime Ministries possible.
If you would like to have a copy of today's program, you can obtain it by simply calling us at 1-800-END-TIME, or you can go to our website, www.endtime.com. You can either order the physical product from there and it'll be shipped to you, or there's also a place there for you to digitally download it, and you can have it within minutes and be enjoying it in the privacy of your own home. In addition to this offer, let me remind you, this is one lesson in our Understanding the End Time series. The first one is the United States in the Bible. The second one is the New World Order is world government. The third one, Islam and Bible prophecy. The fourth one, World War III. The fifth one, Israel's God-given destiny. Number 6, Israel, God's prophetic time clock. Number 7, Holy Roman Empire reborn. 8, Antichrist and the false prophet. 9, 666, Mark of the Beast. And number 10, the coming one world religion. I think a lot of you are going to want to have all 10 of these marvelous prophecy lessons. If you go through just these 10 DVDs, each of them 1 hour, you are going to know more about Bible prophecy than the average student graduating with a degree from a theological seminary. We need to know where we are right now. Jesus Christ said, I tell you these things before they come to pass, so that when they do come to pass, you might believe. So the number to call one more time, 1-800-END-TIME. That's 1-800-363-8463, or go to endtime.com.
You can now have all 10 brand new Understanding the End Time DVDs, filmed in End Time's new cutting-edge studio with green screen technology and beautiful full-screen graphics. All 10 hours are just $155. Go to endtime.com or call 1-800-END-TIME right now.